Next, CBS Sports presents the National League Championship Series.
There's one hatchet that's finally buried in the land of Game 3 and the home of the Braves. Folks, welcome to Hotlanta, where these upstart Warriors now sense that they are on the cutting edge of baseball history. They have got mighty Pittsburgh on the run and the hit.
Olsen hits it into deep left field. Might go!
Everything points toward destiny on a team that's, well, dreaming with confidence at the plate and on the mound. And as the beat goes on, it's the Pirates who desperately seek a stay of execution. The best regular season record in baseball has been overshadowed by a 2-1 deficit in the NLCS as we circle the wagons for Game 4. Well, if you think the good folks of Atlanta are thinking about anything but baseball tonight, maybe you better put away that Gone with the Wind sequel. The Pirates are certainly looking to do a little rewriting themselves. Jim Leyland is hoping to wake up the big three. Barry Bonds, 2 for 11 in the series. Bobby Bonilla, 4 for 12. And Andy Van Slyke, who was the hero in Game 1, is 3 for 11. And so they need an alarm clock, folks, but this is another day, and frankly, a Pittsburgh victory would tie this thing up. So welcome to Game 4 of the National League Championship Series, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves, here on CBS Sports. There's a picture postcard for your album, Tommy LaSorda. Hi, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien, along with the Dodger skipper, Tommy LaSorda. Welcome to our National League Championship edition of Baseball 91. And first of all, our congratulations from both of us and all of us here at CBS to the Minnesota Twins up there. They beat Toronto 4-1 and will represent the American League in the World Series. And we'll have more on that story later. And what about the Twins' victory today?
Well, quite a representation in the World Series, I'd have to say. Cinderella story. Last place to the top to the Fall Classic. Quite an accomplishment. And I'll tell you something. Today, they were able to get the big hits again, which they have been doing. To beat the Toronto Blue Jays in their ballpark 3 straight games is something that you wouldn't believe could have happened. But they did it, and they did it with pitching. Aguilera saved 3 ball games there, and they did it with defense. And, of course, when you get those 2-out base hits with runner in scoring position, you're going to do a good job.
Let's show at the National League Championship Series, and we talked about waking up the big three. How do you do that as a manager?
Well, I think you have to tell them how important they are to the ball club. These guys are the bread and butter of that offense, and they need to score some runs. I think they've got 3 runs driven in between them, and Van Slyke drove in 2 of those in Game 1. So they've got to get the 2 men up on top on the bases. You've got to get either Reedus or Merced, who leads off, and Bell. Bell's got to have a good series to get on the base. These guys got to knock in runs.
As a manager, doesn't it drive you a little crazy that your big guys aren't producing?
Well, those are the guys that that got you there. Those are the guys you're dependent. Jimmy's going to make the lineup out tonight, and he's going to believe that these 3 guys are going to hit like they're capable of doing. More
on tonight's game, Tommy, from our men down in Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, Jack Buck and Tim McCarver. I should get your name right by now, huh, Timmy? Fellas, good evening.
Good evening, Pat. We're getting ready for Game 4 down here in Atlanta. The weather is just terrific. We'll have 50,000 plus. And, Tim, these fans have started that tomahawk chop even before 8 o'clock, and we're still a half hour away from game time.
Well, I guess you could say they're licking their chops. And talking to Jim Leyland before the game, and he agrees with Tommy LaSorda. He said the tomahawk chop is very rhythmic, but as far as it affecting his ball club, no way that it affects the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well, the Pirates trying to get on the right track, and Andrea Joyce asked Andy Van Slyke if they held a team meeting.
What's there to talk about? you know, everybody keeps on coming up to Andy Van Slyke and say, you know, the 3, 4, and 5 guys got to do their job. Well, you know, I've never ducked that. I still realize that Barry Bonds, Andy Van Slyke, and Bob Bonilla, if the guys are on, got to knock them in. That's what we're paid for. But at the same time, you know, when you're giving up 8 runs a game in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium 1 year, every game, I mean, really, it comes down to the pitching staff. And if the pitching staff does the job tonight and tomorrow night and only allows the Braves to have a couple of runs, then the pressure's back on us. But I still think you lose as a team, you win as a team, and we're going to find out whether we're good enough to come back and win this thing.
I think the key to that interview was what is there to talk about? I mean, after all, a team hits, feels, runs, and throws to win ball games. Jim Leyland also telling us before the game that holding a meeting, the first sign of panic, and that's why he hadn't held one.
So the only meeting down here, Pat O'Brien, will be between the fans, the Braves, and the Pirates, and it's a terrific setting, and we're ready to go, Pat.
It does look like a terrific setting indeed. And what about quickly the pitching tonight? Randy Tomlin against Charlie Leibrandt.
Well, you're going to see a different matchup tonight, Pat. You have 2 guys that are not primarily hard ball throwers. They rely on change of speeds. They rely on good control. They will do everything they can all night long to offset the batters. They want to get the batters out on off balance with their weight on the front foot because they'll change speeds all night.
All right, there's still plenty to come here on a beautiful night for baseball in Atlanta as this league championship edition of Baseball 91 rolls on from, let's say, Broadway to Peachtree Street here on CBS. Stay with us.
CBS Sports coverage of game.
In your city tonight, if you live in Atlanta, baseball is the thing, folks. Jane Fonda leading what I think she told Andrea Joyce the other day was the double chop, and I guess we may see a video on that someday and add that to her list of videos. But this is some scene down there at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Get used to that chop, folks. You'll be hearing it all night long, and the Pirates would love to do nothing more than shut these people down, make them put those tomahawks down. Our starting pitchers tonight, Randy Tomlin and Charlie Leibrandt. We might point out, Tommy LaSorda, that the Pirates are 0-7 in this stadium this season, and tonight is not going to be any more easier for them with that tough left-handed pitching.
That's very hard for me to figure out because the Pirates have an awesome ball club. They can do a lot of things. They play hit and run, they steal, and they've got good power on their ball club. And I heard Van Slyke talk a little bit about the pitching. I have to disagree with him. I think in Game 2 they had a runner on second base with nobody out in the 9th inning, and they failed to score. And then in the last game they had the bases loaded and 1 out. They were getting beat by 4 runs, and they didn't produce any runs. So they have to hit. Those 3 guys have got to knock in some runs. Barry Bonds, to me, is the key. He's an outstanding player, and he's struggling right now. And I said before that he has to be patient. They're going to try to pitch around him. They're not going to give him everything good to hit. They do not want Bonds to beat him. Pittsburgh's got to come out tonight, and they've got to score some runs early. They've got to keep the crowd down, and they've got to believe that they can win.
And even if they win tonight, they have Glavine and Avery coming up next. I mean, they got.
That's right. Left-hand pitchers have given them trouble, but they know one thing. If they win tonight, they're going to get back to Pittsburgh, and that means an awful lot to them.
I think Jimmy Carter is down there tonight. He has turned into quite an Atlanta fan with his wife there, Rosalind. Maybe they see themselves on television. Certainly not a first for him, the former president of the United States, and looking good down there in the Peach State. We'll be back. You got something you want to say?
Yeah, I want to say one thing about Olson, the catcher. Here's a guy that's caught every ball game, the final month of the season. He doesn't get the credit that he so richly deserves. I think this guy is so underrated. What a job he's done for that Atlanta ball club.
You've been talking about him for 3 days.
That's right.
We go from Jimmy Carter to Greg Olson. We come back, we'll go from that to Greg Gumbel and Terry Bradshaw as Baseball 91 continues here on CBS. Stay with us. You are looking at a city that has had, of course, all the major sports, but they have never, ever had a championship in any sport down there in Atlanta, and they are longing and starving for some kind of championship in that city. And this could be their year. We're not ending it yet, though, because it's 2-1 Atlanta, and it could be tied tonight. Well, if you think they're excited down there in Georgia, you can imagine. Now 12 hours they've been here today. You know, they always say everybody's talking about the weather, but nobody's doing anything about it. That certainly goes for one Pirate who's suffering through his own personal drought.
Say hello to
also one of baseball's fun kids, somebody who can be merry, come rain or come shine. In fact, in this Baseball 91 exclusive, we go beyond the who and the why and get right to the weather.
Andy is a weather nut, and I found that out from your wife, Lori. He stays up to 1 or 2 in the morning watching the Weather Channel.
Well, not that much.
Well,
Let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away.
I hope not.
All right, John, I'll take a little from here.
You got it?
Got it, buddy.
All right, all yours.
It's presently, see, I'm going to get screwed up here again. It's presently 46 degrees. Our high today was 63 and our low. Up in Bradford, they're already at 34 degrees. 34 degrees. And Cleveland. Let's forget Cleveland. Nobody cares about Cleveland. We have another high pressure, which is producing the clearing. And what you got is a circular motion.
Come back this way. We didn't bring you here to stand off camera. They want to see you. Okay, now, there you go.
And you have the circular motion, which will bring southerly winds up north. If they call me back, I'm going to have to do a lot more practicing and get my cold fronts and my warm fronts not mixed up next time.
Well, for the record, we all here care very much about Cleveland. And our CBS Sports coverage of the National League Championship Series will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Time now to take you out to the ballpark, and our CBS Sports commentators, Jack Buck and Tim McCarver. Somewhere out there in that chop is Jack and Tim. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. We are ready for Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. We're still moments away from game time, and they've started it already down here. The Tomahawk Chop. More than 2 million people attended Atlanta Braves games this year. Last year, less than 1 million, and there was one game early in the campaign when they drew 3,300 people. They have beaten the Pittsburgh Pirates, all 7 they played here during the regular season, 6 times, and yesterday afternoon once again. This is one of the most refreshing scenes in recent years in baseball. By the way, congratulations from Tim and from me to the Minnesota Twins, and we'll be up there next Saturday for a night game. They're all night games in the World Series. Tim, this scene has really changed here in Atlanta.
Well, it's changed here in Atlanta, and that's what the Pittsburgh Pirates want. They want things to change for them offensively. 3 games this year in postseason, plus 6 games last year in postseason. The Pirates have averaged 1 hit in 73 at-bats with runners in scoring position. They're 5 for 43 last year, 4 for 30 this year. They're 9 for 73, or a 123 batting average with runners in scoring position. Yesterday, yet another example of the frustration that has beset the Pittsburgh Pirates. A 3-1 pitch to Orlando Merced from Alejandro Pena, and Merced representing the tying run at the time. Jay Bell struck out with the bases loaded, and I think the one thing the Pirates have to do tonight is regain some momentum. I think they have to get crooked numbers on the board early, and in that way they will have a little momentum, because right now everything's going the Braves' way.
One thing, of course, that the Pirates are going to need in addition is a good pitching performance from the young left-hander, Randy Tomlin. He has no record this year against the Atlanta Braves, and he'll be opposed by another southpaw, Charlie LeBrant. This is going to be some fun tonight.
CBS Sports coverage of Game 4 of the 1991.
As we rejoin you here in Atlanta, the Tomahawk Chop has commenced. And right in the midst of all that, Andrea Joyce.
All right, Jack, we've talked a little bit about the difference between the playoffs and the regular season. As Barry Bonds puts it, a guy slumps for a couple of games in June, it's no big deal, but here he's under a microscope. Despite hitting just 182 so far in the series, Bonds doesn't feel the pressure is all on him.
A lot of guys have been their key catalyst players, but as far as a day in and day out, You know, you're looking at production numbers with Bobby and myself. We are the most productive players on our team, yeah, but we're not the only winners on our team.
Now, Bonds has a cape with a big S on the back of it. They pulled it out in the locker room a couple of hours ago. He put it on and told his teammates, Superman is back. The Pirates certainly hope so. We'll see, Jack.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, Andrea. They've got to get something from the middle, including Barry Bonds. It looks like he's got the spirit, Tim.
Well, he's had the spirit. He just hasn't had the hits. I talked to Greg Olson, the catcher for the Braves, who's having a terrific series, and he was of the opinion that Barry Bonds is just a half an inch away. He had some good cuts at balls yesterday, even though he went 1 for 5. He did have 1 hit. But he has really had a frustrating season this year and last year as well.
Of course, during the regular season, he put together figures that might win him the MVP award. There go the Braves to the field. Former President Jimmy Carter threw out the first pitch here moments ago, and he displayed a very, very good throwing arm. A little out of the strike zone, but a good effort by the 39th president of these United States.
Nice to see the former president displaying casual attire tonight. Beautiful evening here in Atlanta.
He is here with his wife, Rosalind. And there on the mound is Charlie Leibrandt. This fella's been around for a long, long time, and he pitched a lot of innings this year, more than 200 innings, in compiling a record of 15-13. 1-1 against Pittsburgh, and during his career, 2 wins, 2 losses. Let's check out the Pittsburgh batting order for this evening. Gary Reedus is at first base. This is the usual lineup against the left-hander. Dave Bell at short. Andy Van Slyke in center. Bobby Bonilla playing right. And Barry Bonds in left. Steve Buechele is at third base. Don Slott doing the catching. Jose Lind is the number 8 hitter. And Randy Tomlin, the hurler for the Bucks.
Defensively for Atlanta, if they have problems defensively, it could be in left field. Lonnie Smith filling in for Otis Nixon. Center field, there's Ron Gant. He's a converted infielder. David Justice will be in right field. Terry Pendleton at third base. Raphael Belliard will be the shortstop. Mark Lemke at second base. Brian Hunter, the first baseman. And behind the plate, a guy who's had a terrific series, Greg Olson.
And here are the crew of umpires that we have. We took their picture in Pittsburgh. There is Frank Pulley. And Dana DeMuth. And Eric Gregg, who has the plate tonight. And Bob Davidson and Bruce Fremming. And the crew chief, the veteran Doug Harvey. Yesterday afternoon, they drew 50,905. And we are ready for this one. Oh, the folks quiet down while Pittsburgh bats, and then when Atlanta comes up, they'll rev it up again. Gary Reedus is the leadoff hitter and playing first base, and he's 2 for 7. He's in the same boat as most of these other Pirates. Joe Bell has 5 hits, and that's the most of any Pittsburgh batter.
What can you expect to see from Charlie Leibrandt? He does not throw real hard. His best pitch is a circle change. He throws it with his last 3 fingers, bringing the forefinger and the thumb to a quarter motion, and hitters have a tendency to swing at the arm movement. Fastball, changeup, primarily with an occasional breaking ball.
And the first of the night is a strike. If you recall it yesterday, Orlando Merced hit the very first pitch of the game for a home run. Well, that didn't happen back-to-back. Reedus 7 home runs during the season. In the dirt, 1-1, and that was the first changeup thrown by Leibrandt this evening. Very comfortable evening for the fans. Regis, Bell, and Van Slyke in the opening inning. Way out in front. 1-2.
Joe Torre had a line. Joe Torre, of course, the manager of the Cardinals. His line about Charlie Leibrandt was that he will throw the change away to right-handers, and that a catcher could actually catch a game without any signs from Leibrandt. He is not a hard thrower and gets you out on pitches out of the strike zone, and that was an example.
And that ball is fair as it gets to Hunter, and that's the way the game starts. So Regis didn't get a very good swing here at the outset. And up comes Jay Bell. He's had a home run in this series, and he's 5 out of 12. And some balloons are floating down toward the playing field out in right center field, and the umpires call time.
And while time is called, let's take a look at how well the Pirate batters have done against Charlie Leibrandt. Van Slyke, a left-handed batter, is not a good hitter against left-handed pitching. Bobby Bonilla, very good. Barry Bonds, a bit of a surprise. Steve Buechele, all of those at-bats comprised when he was with the Texas Rangers.
And here is Bell, a .270 hitter during the season, ball one high. He hit a surprising 16 home runs during the campaign, and one yesterday afternoon. And it's that ball for Gant to chase down, which he does for the second out.
Ron Gant came up in 1988. He was a third baseman. He made a lot of errors. The Braves sent him back to the minor leagues to learn how to become an outfielder, and has he ever been a good student? 30 home runs plus, 30 stolen bases plus the last 2 years, and has a lot of speed to make up for whatever deficiency he has defensively.
And occasionally he makes a mistake out there, but he's in the learning process.
Right.
And he probably will end up being a very good outfielder. Van Slyke now, 3 out of 11. Ball one to him. Tim, isn't it true that sometimes these left-handed hitters won't swing at the bad balls that the right-handed batters chase?
Well, that's the one thing. Left-handers take away the changeup from Leibrandt. And as we said, that's his best pitch. And the reason that left-handed pitchers are reluctant to throw left-handed hitters changeups is because to be effective, their changeup is usually down and in to a left-hander. That's where they zone to right-handers. And that is a very volatile area to throw left-handed batters.
Van Slyke stays away from ball 3. During the season, Leibrandt struck out 128 and he walked 52. So he'll give his share of walks. Borderline call and strike one. Eric Gregg calling the balls and strikes. Out of play, 3-2. Oh, Leibrandt has come back on the count. There's Bonds hoping to bat here in the first. In order for that to happen, Van Slyke and Bonilla will have to reach. Into left field and chased by Lonnie Smith. He's there and he has it, and down in order go the Pirates. The lights are on in downtown Atlanta, GA. Pittsburgh down in order in the first inning. And the Braves will be facing the southpaw, Randy Tomlin. He's from Virginia by way of Maryland. A record of 8-7 this year. Here's the starting lineup to be presented by the home club Braves, with Lonnie Smith in left field, Barry Pendleton at third, Ron Gant in center field. David Justice in right. Brian Hunter at first base. He's been platooning with Sid Green. Greg Olson behind the plate again. Mark Lemke is at second. Rafael Belliard at the shortstop position. And Lebrand in the first pitch to Lonnie Smith is ball one. Lonnie seeks his first hit in the playoffs. 0 for 10. Hit by a pitch yesterday. He scored a run. It's that ball to very deep right center field. And it is up against and a ground rule double. First hit in the series for Lonnie Smith.
And the Pirates really got a break on that hit. Had that ball hit the wall, Lonnie at least gets a triple. That ball had a lot of loft on it. Lonnie showing unusual power the other way. You see, with that type of loft and that ball bouncing that high, if that ball hits the wall, Lonnie's at least on third. So the Bucks got a break.
And the Braves are off and running again with Pendleton up at the plate now. 2 out of 12. 1 RBI in this competition. Into right field, and Bonilla streaks to it. Lonnie Smith goes back, tags, he is safe at third. And that brings Leland out. Looks like the ball was there, but the tag might have been missed.
I think Lonnie Smith, when the ball was first hit, he thought the ball was going to drop in there. He delayed going back to second base and didn't get a good jump coming off of second to third. Here's the throw right here. Watch how Buechele catches the ball. He's back on his heels. Now by the time he comes back to make the tag, it's too late. I think it's a good call. See, Buechele was back on his heels, and now he's got to bring the glove forward. I thought he was safe. When you receive the ball a lot of times, like Buechele did, see, you're back on your heels, and now you've got to bring the glove forward again. Watch how he catches the ball. Looked like a good call.
Certainly did. And Lonnie Smith ends up at third, 1 out. Pretty good look by Doug Harvey.
Can't have a better one. See, the ball beating, but because of the tag and the difficulty of the tag, he had too far to go to get back there. And a lot of times you're deceived if you're watching that from the dugout. You think because the ball beating, he's out, but that wasn't the case then.
Gant is up 4 out of 12 with a home run. Infield back at second and short. Way out in front. And likes to hit the fastball. He might not see any. Tomlin has no record against the Pirates this year or during his career. 1 ball, 1 strike. And hit 32 home runs during the season. Lonnie Smith at third, 1 out. In the hole now, 1 and 2.
You see the pattern. Change up outside, fastball wasted inside, change up outside. So both left-handers tonight have shown the ability to throw the straight change successfully.
We'll see a lot of off-speed pitching here this evening. No score in the first. Tomlin made the batter waited a little too long.
Another changeup.
To the shortstop, and a run scores.
Base runners call that play the contact play. The minute the hitter makes contact, if the ball's on the ground, you break for home. Off the end of the bat, a one-hopper to Bell, and Atlanta takes the lead.
It was the Pirates taking the lead yesterday on the Merced home run, only to find the Braves coming back with 4. We'll see what the Pirates can do about this deficit as David Justice bats. That's in for a strike to even it up.
Tomlin is nasty on left-handed batters. Left-handed batters hit only 172 on the season against Tomlin, and you can see by his delivery why he's tough on left-handers.
Ball off the glove of the catcher, Don Slott. Well, Jim Leland got his exercise this evening. Bantering with Doug Harvey on that call at third base. Justice with 2 out. Takes the pitch inside.
Jim Leland telling us before the game that he was concerned with the way his team played yesterday. He said it wasn't that they lost, it was the way they lost. Said a lot of sloppy play. He said you're going to go out and get beat 10-3. He was proud of his team last year, but yesterday's loss concerned him.
Hit up the middle by Justice. Second hit of the inning for Atlanta.
Well, I love to watch David Justice hit. We mentioned how tough Tomlin is to hit if you're a left-handed batter. His foot goes one way, the body goes another, and the arm comes out of nowhere. And Justice looked like he saw him all the way and spanked it up the middle.
He is at first with 2 out, and Brian Hunter is the batter. He is 2 for 8 in this playoff. Had a dozen home runs during the season. Brian Hunter listed as an outfielder at the start of the season. Sid Breen was on the disabled list. They moved him into first base, and he played extremely well and ended up platooning with Green. Another hit. That's the 3rd of the inning for these Braves. Matt Corrales, the first base coach.
Well, the Atlanta Braves led the National League in runs in the first inning this year. They scored 124 runs in 162 ball games in the first inning. They scored 4 yesterday, and that's an idea of how they jump on their opponents. I mean, with both feet.
And already we have a bullpen pitcher getting ready, and that's Bob Walker. Has already appeared in this series. And announced that Zane Smith will work tomorrow afternoon's game for the Pirates. And Bob Walk is cranking it up here. It's Ray Miller, the pitching coach, who visited the left-hander. 2 on, 2 out.
Doug Drabeck has been moved back to Wednesday if these two teams go that far. There's Doug. Jim Leland saying that Doug is not quite ready, and that Zane Smith likes to work on 3 days because he's a sinker ball pitcher. Most sinker ballers don't like to be too strong when they work. So Drabeck will pitch Wednesday, Smith tomorrow, if it goes that far.
Are the Braves going to get some more 2-out runs? They got 4 in the first after 2 were out yesterday. Ball 1 to Olsen, who hit a 2-run homer yesterday afternoon and has had 4 hits in 11 at-bats. That's on the corner, and a ball and a strike. Olson has been a very good 2-out hitter in the big leagues. 2 outs and runners in scoring position. .373 average. So he enjoys these situations. To deep short and on through. And the throw by Bonds. And safe at the plate. And the other runners advance. It's 2-0.
Another 2-out RBI for Greg Olson. Yesterday, a 2-run homer. Today, a 1-run single. Fastball inside, the ground ball eluding Buechele and Bell. And the throw by Bonds arrives at the same time as the runner. It gets by Slot. The ball stayed down. Could go as an error on Don Slot. If an error is given, it should be on the catcher and not the left fielder. Randy Tomlin not backing up the catcher. He became a spectator. He's about 5 feet from Don Slot. A pitcher should be behind the catcher and not to his side, and Tomlin became a spectator, and that caused the runners to move up 90 feet.
And an error charge to Bond. Runners at second and third, 2 out, and a 2-0 Atlanta lead, and the batter, Mark Lemke. Strike to him, 0-2. Lemke is not a prolific RBI man. He's in there more for defense, but he's been a big part of this playoff with the bat, too. 1-2. Four hits here in the opening inning for the home club. Can't find anything to beat on and use it here. And the Braves are beating on the Pirates. Lemke hits it foul, and it's still 1-2. 2 on, 2 out.
Bonds charged with the error on that throw. I thought, you know, a case could be made that Don Slot could have made that play. The ball did stay down. Justice and the ball arrived at the same time, but the throw was not offline.
Pretty good throw.
Yep. He had a lot to do because the ball wasn't hit that sharply.
The ball had eyes as it got through the infield. Lemke, the big man, and he is driven off the plate. 2-2.
We'll let you judge at home whether Don Slot had a legitimate, reasonable shot to catch this ball. I think he tried to make the tag too quickly, it looked like.
2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2-0 Atlanta. To the shortstop, Bell. He bobbles it, regains it, and throws him out. 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 left, 1 inning, 2-0 Atlanta.
Smith went back to second base. He goes back to second base a little late. And by the time he gets to third, that was on the ball hit by Pendleton. Watch Buechele. He catches it, softening the hop, and by the time he brings the glove back, Smith is safe. He scored, and this is how Atlanta scores run number 2 in the first. 2 infielders diving for the ball, and the throw by Bonds off the glove of Slot. 2-0 Braves.
This is a very fast field here for a grass field in Atlanta. The ball skipped past the catcher, Slot, and now we have Bonilla to lead it off after Pittsburgh went down in order in the first. Bobby's 4 out of 12. That's low for ball 2. Ordinarily, 2 runs, no problem for Pittsburgh. They led the National League in hitting.
Got shut out 1-0 on Thursday and scored only 3 runs yesterday.
All 3. They're displaying a lot of patience. Kenny Rogers enjoying the action here tonight. Got to know when to hold it.
Look at that. He's got a tomahawk on his right lapel.
Swinging on 3-0. Bonilla fouls it away.
Well, that's not normally a surprise, but when you're down by 2 runs, you can't hit a 2-run homer with nobody on. And that's why a bit of a surprise there, swinging at that 3-0 pitch.
That's foul, and it's 3-2. Good play by the youngster.
Right-handed hitters against Charlie Leibrandt, what they try to do is to hit the ball back through the middle. By doing that, they keep their shoulder in the proper position. If you try to pull this guy, you'll end up hitting the ball off the end of the bat all night.
And he walks the leadoff hitter here in the second. From overhead, we're at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. And we're in the 4th game of the championship series. Atlanta leading 2-1. Tim McCarver and Jack Buck with you, and the Braves out in front here 2-0. And another opportunity for Barry Bonds. 2 out of 11. 3 out of 18 last year.
He has not had an extra base hit this year nor last year. 6 hits have all been singles in postseason play.
He chased a bad ball, strike 1. And you folks back in Pittsburgh know him very well. At any moment, Barry can explode. One swing and we'd be tied here. And now it's 1-1. How about Leibrandt's pickoff move, Tim?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's that important with Atlanta up by 2 runs, but he's picked off 12 this year. However, base runners have stolen more bases against Leibrandt than any other pitcher in the big leagues, 35.
Bonds watches it go low.
There it is right there. Charlie Leibrandt with 12 pickoffs. David Wells of Toronto with 13. There's the more stolen bases than anybody in the major leagues, 35.
2-1 to Bonds, and there's the pickoff throw. He kind of hangs that right leg up there.
Yeah.
There's Bobby Bonds, former big league star, hoping that his son can get hot in this series. He pops it up, and Pendleton has it for the out. Sees his son go 2 for 12 now.
You know, when your father has played Major League ball, and he was such a great player, and Barry Bonds certainly no different, a great player with all the tools. Some think he's the best player in the National League. It's got to be tough to perform when your dad's there. I'm not saying it's not tough to perform if your dad didn't play in the big leagues, but I would think that playing Major League Baseball, knowing your father is in the stands, knowing he played the game, would be very difficult to do. I think you'd think about that if you were up at the plate.
And that might be the reason for the subpar performance by Barry, and it certainly is subpar. We know what a terrific player he is. This is Steve Buechele. Pittsburgh looks for a pick-me-up from him. He's 3 out of 10. Bonilla at first, 1 out. Goes to 1-1. This Atlanta pitcher was just 35 years old a few days ago.
1-4 in postseason play. He's had 7 appearances, 6 starts.
Two balls and a strike. 1 on, 1 out.
Matter of fact, that one game that he won back in 1985, Bobby Cox was the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and Charlie Leibrandt came in inning number 4 to start the 4th inning in game number 7, picking up Brett Saberhagen, and Leibrandt was the winning pitcher in that game, and Toronto lost. And they did it for the 3rd time today.
Base hit up the middle by Buechele, and Bonilla doesn't challenge the arm of Gant.
Belliard cheating towards second base, as most good shortstops do. Lebrand's throwing the ball outside. The double play is in order. Lebrand hasn't thrown but 6 double plays all year. That's not a lot for that type of pitcher.
Ball shoots through the infield here much faster than it does, say, at Wrigley Field. This grass is short and the playing surface very hard.
Bobby Cox comparing it to artificial surface, as a matter of fact.
Now the Pirates need something from Don Slaught, and he's 1 for 7. And out in front on that one.
Don Slaught, a battery mate of Charlie Lebrand when they both were with Kansas City. So if anybody knows what Charlie throws, it's Slaught.
Sometimes you wonder, you think catchers have hit 500 against their former teammates. Strike 2 slipped inside. Pittsburgh stranded 11 runners yesterday. Down in order in the first, they have 2 on, 1 out, and they don't want to continue that trend. And a base hit and a run for Pittsburgh. Just over the glove of Pendleton, and the other man stops at second, and the Pirates are on the board.
Remember that graphic we showed you before the ball game? Over 2 years, 9 games, only 9 hits for the Pirates with runners in scoring position. And this is a hit with the runner in scoring position, and a big hit for Don Slaught.
His second hit, his first run batted in. So Bonilla dents the plate after drawing the leadoff walk, and now it's leaned Jose or Chico on a fly ball to right for Justice. Foul ball. Runner tags at second. First and third, 2 out. And the pitcher coming up. Well, Tomlin could help his own cause here. First and third, 2 out. He's not a bad hitter. He had 10 hits during the year, and he drove home a couple of runs. But against Lebrand, you wouldn't expect too much.
No, not lefty against lefty. Usually a pitcher as a hitter at a decided disadvantage.
Back to Lebrand. 1 run, 2 hits, a walk, 2 left, an inning and a half, 2-1 Atlanta. An inning and a half has been played, and we might have a free swinging affair here in Atlanta.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's got to get over that psychological barrier of hitting with runners in scoring position. Now, folks, try to digest this if you can. With runners in scoring position, over the last 10 games, Pittsburgh has 10 hits and 76 at-bats. In only the last 10 innings, Atlanta has 7 hits and 12 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Big, big difference.
And they are doing the job. They won yesterday and they lead tonight, and Belliard starts it off in the home second. He is 1 out of 8. And batting in the number 8 spot. 1. Pittsburgh hurler gave up 2 runs, 4 hits in the first. Breaking ball in there, 1 and 2. Belliard, you know, used to play for the Pirates and never could really break into the lineup as a regular. They're thrilled to have him down here in Atlanta, where his defense has solidified this Atlanta team. There they go. To the third baseman, Bouchel. 1 out. Congratulations to the Minnesota Twins, the champions of the American League. They won it by the score of 8-5 this afternoon. David West the winner, Dwayne Ward the loser, a save for Aguilera, Puckett the MVP. And next Saturday, either the Braves or Pirates go to Minnesota for a night game, and things start at 8 o'clock Eastern.
What about that Minnesota bullpen? 18 1/3 innings, no earned runs during the playoffs.
Lebrand is up, and he hits it to short. 2 out. Lebrand is 3 out of 71 this year.
And you know the unusual thing about that? He has 2 doubles and 1 triple. All 3 hits for extra bases. And that ties a major league record for no singles in a season with the most at bats. Bob Buell in 1962 went 0 for 70. Well, obviously there were no singles there. Now Lebrand this year was 3 for 70, but he had 2 doubles and 1 triple. So that is a weird way to tie a record.
Yeah, when he comes to life, he comes to life.
Yeah, right.
Lonnie Smith leans back, ball 1, doubled his first time, scored. Saw that pitch up and in, and Lonnie still crowds the plate. You can't get him off the plate. Dives into the ball and takes ball 2. Pretty picture in downtown Atlanta. The stadium is located 5 minutes from the state capitol. 2 balls and a strike.
And Atlanta, like a lot of recessed areas, I mean, we've been in a recession for a year and a half or so. I mean, think of what the Atlanta Braves have meant to this city. The transportation systems, the you know, subways, taxi cabs, the restaurants, the downtown area. It's really been windfall profits for the whole area, and they are awfully proud and well should be of this ball club.
How about the city of Minneapolis, or the Twin Cities? Another foul by Lonnie Smith. First they had the Special Olympics. Now they have the American League champion, and they're going to get the World Series. They're going to have the Super Bowl game next January. They're going to have the Final Four next March in college basketball. That wonderful city is perking. Count 3-2 to Smith with 2 out.
Atlanta with the 1996 Olympics, trying to get into the first World Series ever. Matter of fact, the first championship game for any professional sport in this city.
Out of play, and it stays 3-2. Three in a row set down by Randy Tomlin. Sounds modest, but he gave up 4 hits in the first. And another foul by Smith. Smith was out of a job when Otis Nixon was performing for the Braves. He's been suspended, and there's Lonnie. And he walks.
Talk about out of a job. Excuse me, Jack. When you think about what Otis Nixon going down meant to Lonnie Smith needed 400 plate appearances to earn and to have his contract automatically renewed for next year. He ended the season with 412 plate appearances, and the Braves automatically renewed a $1.75 million contract. That's what Otis Nixon, you know, if you can find something good out of something horrible like that happening, it's happened to Lonnie Smith.
And Smith might run. He has stolen 9 bases, and he's there with 2 out, and Pendleton's the batter. There he shows the 2-out bunt, ball 1.
Here's that unusual move of Randy Tomlin. He has picked 8 off this year and one of the better left-handers at holding runners close.
Pendleton looks at strike one. There he lined out to right his first time, and he's 2 out of 13. National League batting title winner this year. Signed as a free agent by the Braves, and didn't that pay off? And he may win the MVP. It appears to be between Pendleton and Bonds. That ball is fair. Smith goes on to third. First and third, 2 out.
If a pitcher doesn't want to come inside, why try to pull it? That's the type of hitter Pendleton is. The ball was away, he went away, and Lonnie Smith easily goes to third. One thing that you want to think about if you're a catcher here, and Don Slaught out to talk to Randy Tomlin. Slaught wants to tell Tomlin what he's going to do in case Pendleton runs.
The chop. We're in the chop shop. And the serenade. Ron Gant is up. Drove home a run with an infield out in the first inning. Buechele, what foul ball? Foul ball.
Yesterday, Ron Gant with a home run. He had 32 during the season. 34 make that. When you hit a ball that far, there's no need to run around the bases. You can go around the bases any way you want to. You know, home run hitters like to look at what they've done. They're like artists. You know, they got the canvas out there. They painted the picture, and they like to look at it for a while. If you hit a ball that far, you can look at it.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, this started with 2 out. A walk to Smith, a single by Pendleton, and a strike 1 count to Gant. 2-1 the score. Atlanta on top. Now an 0-2 count. Here's Jimmy Williams, the third base coach for the Braves.
Gant in the hold. You may look for Pendleton to run here. You don't usually do it with your big RBI man, and Gant is certainly that, 105 RBIs. You don't do that normally, but he's in the hole 0-2. He's more inclined to chase a bad ball. So if Pendleton does run, Slaught will either throw through, throw it back to the pitcher, or fake throwing and throw it to third.
We'll watch Pendleton. He's at first. Not going. Tomlin drives the batter off the dish. And drove home 105 runs this year.
He ever quick inside. I don't think there's any hitter in the National League that's quicker than Ron Gant. This is lightning fast.
He is a pull hitter.
That's right. You pull a ball that far foul on the ground, and you realize that he hit that ball well with the barrel of the bat. To get the barrel of the bat in that position, you have to be awfully fast, and he is.
First and third, 2 out. Foul as Gant spoiled a pretty difficult pitch. Tomlin doesn't strike out many people. 104 strikeouts, 48 walks during the year.
Yeah, you've heard of contact hitters. He's a contact pitcher. He tries to put the ball in play on his terms.
You saw Lonnie Smith, and there's Pendleton with 2 out. And he got him. Now the Braves have left 4 and will return to Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium after this message and an update from CBS News with Dan Rather.
Updating the Clarence Thomas hearings, Republican senators have begun attacking announcement that Anita Hill today passed a lie detector test. Professor Hill's attorneys arranged for the test after Republicans had been on television suggesting she had mental problems. When it was made known that Hill had passed the lie detector test, Republicans began mixing attacks on the reliability of such tests with questions at tonight's hearings. 4 witnesses supporting Thomas are appearing.
Judge Clarence Thomas would never, ever make a parallel career in harassment, ask that it not be revealed, and expect to have and keep his real career. And I know he did no such thing.
He does not deserve this savaging of his character, of his reputation, of his honor. He does not deserve this.
The hearings are scheduled to go late tonight and resume tomorrow morning. Dan Rather, CBS News. Now back to Jack Buck and Tim McCarver.
Our thanks to Dan Rather, and we're in Atlanta, and we're in the top of the 3rd with the Braves leading Pittsburgh 2-1, and Gary Reedus batting. First pitch, a ball, and now ball 2. Reedus grounded to first, his first time. He is from neighboring Alabama. Ball, 2 balls and a strike. We've had some weekend down here in Georgia. College football, Georgia won, Georgia Tech won, Georgia Southern a winner, and this afternoon the Falcons defeated San Francisco.
Deion Sanders with a punt return of 100 yards.
And he was injured later in the game. Ball is fielded well by Pendleton. He throws him out. Pendleton, one of the best third basemen in recent years in the National League.
I said punt return for Sanders. It was a kickoff return, and Pendleton looks like he just fielded a kickoff return. Maybe one of the guys who back up, you know, those 7 guys, you have 5 on front, 2 in the back, and then 4 back there. That's what Pendleton looks like right there. It might have been an onside kick. Good play by Pendleton.
And he followed it with a very strong throw, and now Leibrandt pumps one into Jay Bell. Bell lined to center his first time. You sound like John Madden.
Thank you.
That's strike 2. Waiting on deck is Andy Van Slyke. He had a quote in the newspaper that we're going to clarify for you here in a moment after Bell is on or out. 0-2 the count. Just missed outside. 1-2. Balls, 2 strikes. Bob Davidson with a call. Leibrandt has allowed 2 hits in this game. Stays 2-2. Greg the umpire, Olson the catcher, Bell the batter, Leibrandt the pitcher, and Bobby Bonilla hoping to bat in this inning. And it's still 2-2. Our Pirates scored 1 and stranded 2 in the second inning. Strikeout for Lebrand, and that is his first. Andy Van Slyke said some people are going to start saying that we, the Pirates, are gaggers.
Well, I didn't say that we were gaggers. I said everybody was, basically calling gaggers, and we're going to have to find out if we are. That's what I said. And obviously, getting beat 10-3 yesterday is not a question of being gagging. It's a question of you just got yourself pounded.
And he also remarked that the Pirate pitching has not been very good.
Especially in this ballpark. Excuse me, Jack.
Right, where they lost 6 during the regular season and another yesterday. Strike 1 to Andy. He flied to left his first time. Still lives in St. Louis, where he broke in with the Cardinals. He was in the Tony Pena trade with Pittsburgh. Strike 2.
Mike LaValliere, Andy Van Slyke, and Mike Dunn. Mike Dunn has been released, and LaValliere and Van Slyke still contributing mightily to the Pirates.
And Pena helped the Cardinals win a pennant, so they've gotten a lot out of it. Lebrand has retired 4 in a row. Folks on the first base side thought that ball was in the strike zone. It's 1 and 2. There's Mike LaValliere. He's out of the starting lineup tonight. And a strikeout. That's the second by Lebrand, who has set down 5 in a row. We'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. A word from your local station. The Braves come to bat in the bottom of the third, leading 2-1. The Goodyear Blimp America shot. Blimp America from Houston, Texas, and it's sponsored by Goodyear Tires and Blimp Tour 91. This is Justice. Ball 1, ball 2 to Justice, who singled and scored in the first. Strike from Randy Tomlin. And 5 early hits against this Pirate southpaw. Atlanta scored 2, but they've left 4. It'll be Justice, Hunter, and Olson here in the third. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And a look back at the umpire by the young outfielder. All 3. Lots of pressure on this Pirate pitcher with his club trailing 2 games to 1. Pirates want to get even tonight. They want to be in the spot that confronted Toronto this afternoon. Second baseman leaned for the first out of the inning. Let's go down and visit with Andrea Joyce.
Jack, you mentioned earlier that Doug Drabeck will not pitch for the Pirates tomorrow. He told me that his leg feels a lot better today than it did yesterday, but the decision was made to hold him until Game 6 rather than risk further injury. He will try and throw off the mound for the first time tomorrow. He's disappointed, but says he knows it's the right thing to do, because if it were up to him, he says, hey, I'd probably go out there with a broken leg. Back to you guys.
Okay, Andrea, he'll be working Wednesday in Pittsburgh if we get there. Here's a strike. Brian Hunter singled his first time up. To the shortstop Bell. Good play on a tough hop and got him. 2 out.
Well, Doug Drabek didn't quite break his leg last Wednesday night, but he did injure his hamstring, his left hamstring, on a double to drive in a run. This was in game 1. It gave the Pirates right there. You could see him slow down. That gave the Pirates a 5-0 lead. Initially, we thought it was his left knee, and it turned out to be his left hamstring. That's why he's been scratched as the starter tomorrow, and if it goes 6, he'll be the starter on Wednesday.
Greg Olson looks at strike 1. He singled home a run in the first, and what a series he's been having. He's had a home run and 3 runs batted in. Strike 2 from Tomlin. So Randy Thomas holding his club in it. Had a tough first inning. Stranded a couple of runners in the second, and he's retired the first 2 in the third. And a fly ball for Van Slyke. Now we played 3, and the Braves lead it 2-1.
This game summary is sponsored by AT&T.
And the Braves are up to their old tricks. They got 2 in the first, and then Don Slaught cut the lead in half. And the Braves with men on base have been murder yesterday and again tonight. Here's Steve Avery. He is ticketed for game 6 if we get there in Pittsburgh.
How can you be that good that young?
He was brilliant the other night with a 1-0 shutout with help from Pena. First up, Bonilla and a foul. Almost got one of his teammates. At the conclusion of this game, Tim McCarver and I will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. Chevrolet will then donate $1,000 on the player's behalf to the Special Olympics. Five in a row have been set down by Charlie Liebrandt. Bonilla, Bonds, and Buechele. 3 Bs in this inning for the Buccos. Count 2-1. Barry Bonds next. Liebrandt has walked 1, and that cost him a run. Count 3-1. He walked Bonilla back in the second. And hits by Buechele and Slaught drove him home. Three and 2.
Does seem like walks score more on a ratio than if guys put hits back to back to back. Seems like when you walk a guy, you're giving something to the opposition. He doesn't have to earn his way to get on base. Bobby Bonilla, even with the Bucks down, he's still smiling.
It's not difficult for him to smile.
Nope.
Down the line and foul. It stays 3 and 2.
See a lot of right-handed hitters lunging into the ball off Liebrandt. That's that changeup. He throws it about 40–50% of the time. And once again, the right-handers swinging at that arm motion. Arm comes around, but the ball's not there. A lot of hitters leaning toward Liebrandt.
Bonilla leading off. And he walks for the second time this evening. Here's the Atlanta catcher, Greg Olson, talking about pitching to the big 3 of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we feel that, you know, they're going to get their hits, but we just don't want them to get the big hit in situations where there's runners in scoring position. So we've been trying to, you know, move the fastball in and out. John Smoltz did a tremendous job yesterday of breaking the slider in on Bonds' hand. You know, he got a couple of decent pitches to hit, but we jammed him just enough so he couldn't get it out of the ballpark.
And the catcher, Olson, looking over into the Braves dugout. Leadoff man is on. That's the tying run.
Fastball away here.
And strike one.
Charlie Leibrandt, in order to be effective, has to move the ball in and out. He is not a low ball pitcher, but with his changeup, if he's going to challenge hitters, he has to move the ball in and out. The two lanes of the plate. The plate's 17 inches wide, and a pitcher like Leibrandt has to live outside on the 2 inches and inside on the 2 inches. Otherwise, he's wild in the strike zone. Those are fat for a hitter.
Count goes even, 1-1 to Bonds. Barry is 0 for 1, and he is 2 out of 12. Bonds has power to all fields and can hit them out of a ballpark with these dimensions into left. Ball 2, and the crowd groans.
Matter of fact, of the 25 home runs that Barry hit this year, 9 were to left field or to left center. The crowd groans, but that ball clearly low.
And Bonds controls the strike zone. Good batting eye. And 25 home runs this year. He walked 107 times. Good job, man on base.
Charlie, with that move, watch how high that right foot comes up. And usually when it comes up, his head looks home. That's how he nails a lot of guys at first base.
Bonds a little bit behind them with 2-2. Leadoff walk to Bonilla. And 2-2 to Bonds with nobody out.
Fastball inside. He shook one off away, then the slider, and he came back inside.
And missed, making it 3-2.
Some pitchers shake off, others stare off, and you could see Greg Olson the last time put down the one finger, and then he went to 3, and then he came back inside with the one finger, and that ball just missing.
Got Leibrandt talking to himself. The runner might go. Bonilla at first, nobody out. And one of these times, Bonds is going to pop the ball. Runner going, and he fouled it. Here's Gene Lamont, the third base coach. So the runner and the hitter will know if Bonilla is going to be on the move.
And if you're the runner at first base, Jack, you cannot be picked off in this situation. The first base coach will often tell you, make sure he pitches.
Make sure he comes to the plate to Bonds, who has a 3-2 count. There goes the runner, and he struck him out, and they have him hung up. Double play.
Watch Greg Olson. He goes to the fastball away. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want the slider. He wants the changeup to the left-hander. Pretty fruitful pitch right there. Strike him out and throw him out as Bonilla stops halfway. And Belliard back to Hunter. And Hunter makes the tag. One pitch for 2 outs.
And Buechele bats with the bases empty, and these Braves continue to get Bonds out. And Bonilla to boot. 2 out in the inning. Still a 2-1 Atlanta lead. Strike to Buechele. He singled his first time and helped Pittsburgh score a run in the second.
By the way, that is the first runner thrown out by Greg Olson with Charlie Leibrandt pitching this year.
First one.
First one.
2-1. Take that. Walk and a strikeout and out Steve. Two and two. These fans are with it again. They were inspired by that double play. To Steve Buechele. I mentioned it earlier, the Pirates are going to have the task of signing Buechele for next year if they want him in their lineup again. His second hit of the night and his fifth of the playoffs.
Now once again you saw Olson giving the changeup. Remember, wiggle is a change, but watch the approach by Steve Buechele. He doesn't try to pull the ball, and look at his front shoulder in particular. There's the changeup right there from Olson on the 3-2 count. Well, that is a good piece of hitting by Steve Buechele.
And it gives Don Slaught a 2-out opportunity. He chased the ball.
In effect, on that changeup away, your shoulder leads you to the ball, and then your hands release. It's imperative your shoulders stay in to be a good hitter.
Strike two on Slaught, who singled and drove home a run in the second. Looking down from the Goodyear blimp, and they are packed in here tonight. Largest crowd they've ever had here, 52,000 plus. Yesterday afternoon, 50,000 plus. 1-2. A walk and a single in the inning, but a strikeout and a double play in between.
Courtesy toss right there. Whenever Lee Brandt looks at the runner at first base and throws over there, that's not his good move. His good move, as we explained earlier, when he kicks high and looks home. That's how he picks runners off.
Pirates need something from Don Slaught. And he strikes out, and it's a scoreless fourth for the Pirates, who still trail 2-1. Braves come to bat with the bottom three in their order, and they lead the Pirates by the score of 2-1. There's Bobby Cox, the skipper of the Braves. Be in their front office. He will not get to go back to Toronto, even if he wins this playoff. The winner of this series goes to the Twin Cities. Lemke, ball one from Tomlin, and we're underway in the bottom of the fourth.
Bobby Cox had to retire at the age of 30. His knees were in such a state that they wouldn't allow him to continue his career.
Lemke pops it into left center, and Van Slyke is there. 1 out.
Then Bobby became a playing manager in 1971. He started out at Fort Lauderdale, and then he finally got his break in 1978, managing Atlanta for 4 years, and went up to Toronto for 4 years, and then he became the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, and then took over for Russ Nixon last year. And the funny thing about the old goes around comes around situation is Russ Nixon is now a scout from Minnesota, and Bobby Cox may be playing the team that he's scouting for.
And Nixon's work will not be wasted. The series starts next Saturday night in Minnesota. Here, the foul ball hit by Belliard. A little late for the foul ball call. First base umpire made the call as it turned out.
That's right. Bob Davidson saw that Eric Gregg was in trouble. And now Jim Leyland's going to come out. We, by the way, have Ed Montague traveling with us. Eric Gregg couldn't make the call, and Jim comes out. He sees that Bob Davidson has already made the call, and that's all he wanted. He knew Gregg was blocked out. But Ed Montague telling us in game one about those signals that umpires have. Maybe Bob Davidson was using one of those signals again. Here it is right here, and it looked like the ball was off the top foot of Belliard. But anyway, Bob Davidson made the call, and it appeared correctly.
Belliard still batting with one out here in the bottom of the fourth. 0-2 the count to him. 1-2. We'll ask Ed Montague here. Ed, what about that call, and why was Bob Davidson in there so quickly with the call?
Well, there again you have teamwork. I think Bob saw that Eric was blocked out, and Bobby came right up with the call, and that's why you've got 6 umpires out there.
Did they get it right?
Of course they got it right.
What do you mean, of course? What do you mean?
They're doing a great job out there.
Yeah, the series has gone along very well from an umpiring viewpoint. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count to Belliard. That's a hit. That's the 6th base hit of the night for the Braves.
You know, I think one of the things about Ed Montague that surprised him, the first night he was under makeup before the game, and the makeup gal asking if he had contacts on. He said, my credibility is going right down the chute. Right?
Well, I asked if I can throw her out of the booth for that.
Fine group of guys umpiring here. We're happy to have Ed Montague here with us to sort out any problems, and we had Richie Garcia of the American League working in that series. Here's a strike to Liebrand trying to bunt.
There's no singles in 70 at-bats right there. He had 3 hits this year, 2 doubles and a triple, and obviously that's why he's bunting.
Bats from the right side. As you see, though, he's a left-handed pitcher. And he bunts it foul. Strike 2.
Bat was in foul territory. Whenever a hitter's bat is in foul territory, in all probability, if he makes contact, it'll go foul. One thing you want to do as a bunter is to keep the barrel of the bat above the hands and keep the bat in fair territory. And as you can see, that bat was in foul territory.
So we don't expect much from Liebrand in a spot like this. Belliard at first, 1 out. And he got it down. The play has to go to first. Hooray, say the fans here in Atlanta.
Well, a 2-strike bunt, and one would have to imagine that the bat was in fair territory. And sure enough, Steve Buechele thanks. You know the interesting thing about that shot? Look at the catcher. When a third baseman comes in to field the ball, who covers third? Well, it's a catcher's responsibility. And as you're running past the third baseman, you continue to third on a play like that.
And the put out went 5-3, and it brings up Lonnie Smith. He has singled and walked. Excuse me, doubled and walked, and on base twice.
Watch where the catcher goes on this bunt to Steve Buechele at third base. The third baseman comes in. Now watch Slot in the bottom of your screen. He just continues to third in case Belliard decides to go to third.
Lonnie Smith can add to the Atlanta lead. 1-1. Smith's double tonight was his first hit in the playoff. He's 1 for 11. And has already left 4. That was low. population of Atlanta is involved in this baseball success. Now 3-1. And this year's leading hitter in the league is waiting on deck.
If you're Tomlin, you say to yourself, well, you got to choose your poison. Do you pitch to Smith 3-1 and give in to him, or pitch to Pendleton with 2 on?
3-2 now. And there is Pendleton. Batted .319 and won the batting title by 1 point over Hal Morris of Cincinnati. Two out. To the street. Well, tomorrow will be an afternoon affair, 3 o'clock Eastern. The Pirates playing here in Atlanta. That's what's happened thus far. Pittsburgh won 5-1, and then the Avery game, and then Atlanta yesterday afternoon 10-3, and they lead tonight. And they go on top 3 games to 1. These Pirates want to get back to Pittsburgh. And a simple little win here would assure that. Let's go, baby, she said. Ronnie hits it high in the air to left center, and Bonds cruises to it and makes the one-handed catch. And now Atlanta has left 5, but after 4, the Braves lead it 2-1.
We know. This is just a normal sacrifice, but watch it, the movement of the infielders. Second baseman to first, shortstop to second, the third baseman in, and the catcher covers third. And that's what happens on a routine sacrifice. Everybody's got a responsibility.
They got the runner down, but failed to get him home. And now it's Atlanta with 5 left, and Pittsburgh is stranded 3. Their number 8 hitter for the Pirates, Jose Lean, shows a bunt and takes a ball. Let's look at some football scores from today in the NFL. New Orleans 6-0 after beating the Eagles. Washington still undefeated, 7-0, big win over Cleveland. We'll give you some more as we go along here in the 5th inning. Dallas beat Cincinnati, and the Bengals still haven't won, and Minnesota won big in football and won big in baseball. Buffalo goes to 6-1 with a lopsided win. The visiting Falcons won at San Francisco by 5. Down the middle to Lean, 2-1. Houston is 5-1 with a win on the road. And look what Kansas City did to Miami. And the Rams by 6 over San Diego. So you're all up to date. A lot of points today in the NFL. Harry Bradshaw was talking about opening it up. They must have listened to.
Bradshaw ball, right?
Now it's 2-2 to Lean. Fouled out to the right fielder his first time, leading off in the 5th. And he got a piece of that. Legrand, a 15-game winner during the season, 1-1 against Pittsburgh. Another sellout crowd here.
Right on the coconut.
Well, he did that. Another strikeout on the changeup. That's 4 for the lefty. He throws it on any count, doesn't he, Tim?
Yeah, he does. I mean, if you're going to throw it to Barry Bonds on a 3-2 count with Bonilla running, then you'll throw it on any count.
Lean struck out 3 times yesterday, and they get him again tonight. He's 0 for 2. Tomlin hit back to the pitcher his first time. Ball 1 to Tomlin, who had 10 base hits during the season. Born in Maryland, lives in Virginia. Legrand gets a strike in there. Ball 2. To the shortstop, Belliard. On the money, 2 out. 2 gone.
That's the thing the Braves love about Rafael Belliard. He's always on the money. Talk to the Braves players and you talk about his throws. They're always right there, letter high to the first baseman. He is really sure-handed. Nothing dazzling about his play at shortstop, but he makes the routine plays, and baseball's a routine game.
And when Jay Bell came along, he chased Belliard out of the Pirate picture right down here to Georgia. Harry Reedus takes a little time coming up there. He is 0 for 2 and 2 out of 9. And batting with 2 out, but we've seen some 2-out rallies in this series. And Reedus hit 7 home runs during the year. His club trailing by only 1 here in the 5th.
Baseball's a routine game. Obviously, it takes enormous skill to play all facets of the game well. But it's the team that does the routine things well over a period of time, over a greater period of time, that usually wins.
You do the right thing most of the time from April till October. You'll be there.
Yeah, make the normal plays. Going to make an occasional spectacular play. It's the team that makes the normal plays all the time. Those are the winners.
Into left field and a base hit for Reedus. And the Pirates have a speedy runner on board with 2 out.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup with Reedus and Lee Brandt right here. You remember Lee Brandt's move, but he leads the major leagues in stolen bases. So Reedus on the changeup. He hits it hard to left field. So you got to feel that he's going to run. It's just a matter of when. Lee Brandt, I would assume, would be keeping a close watch on Gary Reedus with 17 steals in the season.
Brian Hunter will hold against him. And Jay Bell will be the batter. He's 0 for 2 and 5 out of 14. And Reedus, who used to be with Cincinnati and the White Sox, get back in. Bell used to be with Cleveland.
That's second in home runs and RBIs. Only Barry Larkin of Cincinnati was better in those departments than Bell.
Bell went out after it and missed. Lee Brandt likes to work that low and away to the right-handed batters.
And then we were talking about those lanes of the plate. That's that lane to right-handers.
Doesn't want you to hit his fastball very much.
Nope.
Runner at first, 2 out. Usually you see that runner jockeying back and forth. Doesn't ordinarily run, do they?
No, they don't. The more they move at first base, the more they are less inclined to run. Because if you're jumping up back and forth, you're not going to get a good jump. There's the move of Lee Brandt.
Time call by Eric Gregg, the plate umpire. Two-out hit by Reedus has caused little commotion here.
It's a guessing game right now between Reedus and Lee Brandt.
And a pitch out.
And the catcher.
That evens the count 1-1. Gene Lamont, the third base coach.
Even though Gene Lamont is not giving Reedus the signal. Reedus is on his own to run. You get the jump, you take off.
You see that little line in the dirt that Reedus drew with his spike? And that's the length of the lead that he takes.
Got to draw the line somewhere.
We have a 2-1 game on our hands here in the 5th inning. Up the corner to Bell, 2.
He is painting tonight. Instead of Lee Brand, he's almost Rembrandt tonight. Pitchers call this painting the outside corner, and I mean, he is painting.
You swing at it, you miss it. You take it, it's a strike. Twisted ball into right, and that drops, and Rita scoots on to third without a play. Well, the play is made. He is safe, and it gets away, and we are tied. And now the runner trying to get to third, and what a play save. Pendleton says he got him, but Bell ends up at third with 2 out. There's a run the Pirates shouldn't have had.
That's exactly right. Dave Justice has no business throwing that ball to third base. None. When a guy can run like Reedus and a ball is hit like the ball Bell hit, Bobby Cox is saying right now there is no way that his young right fielder can make this throw. A looper to right, Reedus safe easily. Not even a play. Look at him. He's already on the bag. The ball skips by Pendleton. Lee Brand is backing up. And now Pendleton recovers and retrieves the ball in time, and that time he may have had Bell. I don't know.
Yeah, Pendleton thought he did, but the inning is still alive.
But really, the play right there is Dave Justice can't make that throw.
That's why I said he went on to third without a play, and here came the play, and it cost him a run, and now Van Slyke to Hunter. And we are tied going into the bottom of the 5th inning. It's a 2-2 game here.
Two-two ball game. Remember how we were talking about how baseball's a routine game? Well, this is a throw that gets by Pendleton, and that's not the right routine. Nor is this base running mistake by Jay Bell. You never make the third out at third base, and he almost did. Not from that angle, but from the other angle, it looks like he may have been out. That first angle we had, and here it is. Looked like he had him there. So really 2 mistakes made on that play, one offensively and one defensively.
But Van Slyke grounded out, and Pittsburgh left the runner on, and now Pendleton fouls it away, and it's a quick 2 strikes on Terry as he leads off in the bottom of the 5th. An error was charged to the right fielder David Justice on the throw, which he should not have made. You get a guy who can throw, Tim, and he will throw.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes that arm that you're carrying around can be too strong. Dave Justice is a strong arm player. He made a fine throw, but with the height of the ball, and the speed of the runner, those 2 combinations made it a big mistake to go to third.
Andy Tomlin pitching to Pendleton, and Lean backpedaled and throws him out. He was asking for a little trouble on that ball, but he got a true hop, 1 out.
Yeah, you have the luxury of doing that on the right side of the infield. On the right side of the infield, all the throws are short. So Jose Lean, a guy, who can play second base with the best of them. I think Roberto Alomar, the only guy who you can match with Lean as far as defense alone is concerned. Sandberg wins the Gold Gloves, but it's Jose Lean who has the best range.
So Tomlin has retired the leadoff hitter in the 5th and pitches to Ron Gant. He's 0 for 2 with a run batted in.
Matter of fact, it's Ryan Sandberg who says that Jose Lean should win the Gold Glove. He's made that comment the last 3 years.
And there are other good second basemen in the league. Okendo is one. Samuel had a good year with the Dodgers. One for Jay Bell. And high but out as Rita's reached high. Let's visit once more with Andrea Joyce.
Jack, you know the attendance here has skyrocketed from less than 1 million last year to over 2 million this year. Now, only 2 other teams in history have done that. In 1946, the Yankees capitalized on post-war euphoria and new lights. And then in '65, the Astros did it when they moved inside away from the heat and the mosquitoes. But the Braves, they've just done it with better baseball. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Andrea. And we have a big crowd here tonight They've been rather quiet compared to yesterday afternoon when the Braves scored 10 times. 2 out for Justice. Strike from Tomlin. 2 men gone in the bottom of the 5th. Justice singled and scored in the 1st inning and grounded out to 2nd. 1-1. What did you say about the Twins, Tim? They're going to have to schedule some exhibition games to stay sharp.
Got a 6-day wait before the series starts. Well, you start off the season scheduling exhibition games in spring training. You might as well end the season with exhibition games.
Again, our congratulations to Tom Kelly and his crew. Pop up by Justice. It'll be a 1-2-3 inning as Buechele gets it. We've played 5. We're tied 2-2, and we'll return to Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. We've played 5 in this 2-2 game, and the Goodyear Blimp America is giving us our aerial views of Atlanta and of Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. $50,000 plus on hand. Braves got off in front 2-0. Pittsburgh scored a run in the 2nd and just tied it in the 5th. Bonilla leads it off, and he has walked twice. He has scored a run, and he's been out stealing. So to get the feeling that the momentum has swung over a little bit here to the Pirates. And a hit by Bonilla. On base for the 3rd time. What they're doing, Tim McCarver, these Pirates are still looking for the big hit from Bonds.
Yeah, Barry Bonds 0 for 2 tonight, and it's not that you're putting all of the emphasis on the 3 guys, but these are the 3 guys that have done it all season long for Pittsburgh. Now, obviously, everybody else contributes, but it's these 3, Van Slyke, Bonilla, and Bonds, who contribute the most. 315 RBIs by their outfield. The most in baseball.
Ball 1 to Bonds. And this evening, Bonilla on base 3 times with 2 walks and a single. Bonds 0 for 2. And Van Slyke 0 for 3. It could happen any moment with Barry Bonds. And that's ball 2. What they've done this evening. Andy's 0 for 3. Bonilla's walked twice. Thus far in the series, no RBIs for Barry Bonds. Play him to pull. Bonilla with a short lead. We're in the 6th, and we're tied 2-2. 2-1. Kent Merker is the left-hander, and Jim Clancy the right-hander for Atlanta in the right field corner. They jumped up as soon as Bonilla got the base hit. Bonds pops it up again into left for Lonnie Smith. And Barry just can't do it. He's 0 for 3 and 2 out of 14. 3 out of 18 last year. And in this series, 0 for 9 with runners on base.
And you know, it's a funny thing. There again, the carryover effect. This is the 10th game they've played over the last 2 years. And no extra base hits for Barry Bonds. And asking Jim Leland before the game, do you believe in a carryover effect? He said there might be something to that. Until you do it, you're not sure you can do it.
Pirates failed last year against Cincinnati in a 6-game series. Trailed 2 games to 1 here. The batter Buechele. He's been a bright light for Pittsburgh with 2 for 2 this evening. And 5 out of 12. And has occasional home run power. He had first, 1 out. Hitting through the right side that you can see. They're going to play Heck, picking Bonilla off with the lead that he's taking. Dean Lamont trying to get the attention out of the batter.
The only way Bonilla will be running would be on the front end of a hit and run play. And Buechele has approached Leibrandt the best of any of the Pirates during this game. 2 hits up the middle.
Bonilla takes 2 steps and he's back to the base.
If he takes 3, he's in the first base coach's box. That's his lead at first base.
Here come the fans again. On the corner to Steve Buechele, 1-1. This third base coach of the Pirates might end up with one of the vacant big league jobs. The manager, Jim Leland, certainly is touting him. Olsen looking into the dugout. And another hit for Buechele. He's 3 for 3. And runners at first and second, 1 out.
Buechele shaking his hand, but that's nice pain. It hurts good when you get a base hit right there. Watch him shake his hands when he gets on first base. Little bees in the hands. That might be part of the killer bees effect right there.
We pointed out earlier how when playing with Texas, Buechele had such a good batting mark against Leibrandt. And some things don't change. Now who's on the spot? Don Slaught. 1 for 2. He's driven in a run. And he's 2 for 9 in this series. He could snap the tie. Ball 1 from Leibrandt with the Atlanta bullpen busy. Leadoff hit by Bonilla. Bonds retired. Buechele hit. Leibrandt has given up 7 hits and 2 walks. Slaught sings it into left, right at Lonnie Smith, and that's the second out. A well-hit ball by Slaught, but the results weren't good. 2 on, 2 out.
Don Slaught had the right idea. It was a changeup, and he hits it hard. Lonnie Smith's right there. Here's a situation where if a ball is hit hard by Jose Lind right to an outfielder, there should be a play at home. Bonilla is not a fast runner, and Lind doesn't have good power the other way, and the Atlanta Braves outfield is too deep for Lind.
Lind looking for the 2-out hit, but he grounds it to Belliard and an unassisted force out. 2 left for the Pirates. They've stranded 6, and we're still tied.